My name is Avani Prabhu, and I'm going to be presenting on the relationship between infections and thrombosis. So, I'm a rising junior at South Forsyth High School in Cumming, Georgia. I'm part of my school's Science Olympiad and HOSA, and I volunteer at the Global Thrombosis Forum, where we work to spread awareness on the different kinds of thrombosis. I've made presentations and worked out at booths, helping spread awareness on the kinds of blood clots that form and how to prevent them. This is me talking to one of the attendees at the Johns Creek Diwali Festival. This is just a brief overview on the things we'll be going over today in the slideshow. So what is thrombosis? Well, thrombosis is basically a formation of a blood clot in the veins and arteries of the body. When a blood vessel is injured, the blood will coagulate, using the platelets and proteins in the plasma to stop the bleeding. A coagulation cascade is the name for the enzyme reactions that lead to coagulation. Tissue and clotting factors are activated and fibrin is sent to plug the injury. This will lead to platelets clumping up together. Sometimes the clots won't dissolve on its own, and the decreased blood flow will cause swelling and discomfort. Deep vein thrombosis occurs in the deep veins of the legs. In some cases, the clot can break off from its spot in the body and travel up through the bloodstream into the arteries. This is called embolism and can cause problems in the heart and lung. Thrombosis can occur from a range of things, from immobility, obesity, and certain medicines to name a few. Thrombosis is a big problem that affects a lot of people around the world, regardless of the country. In fact, problems caused by thrombosis, like strokes for example, are the leading cause of death in developed countries. But people in developing countries might not get the treatment they need, which can lead to permanent disabilities and heart problems. Many cases of thrombosis are related to hospitalizations, from the illness itself to the immobilization. It could be treated easily, but the complications usually arrive after the patient has been discharged. The CDC refers to these cases as the leading cause of preventable death in the USA. During the COVID-19 pandemic, the incidence rate of thrombosis increased dramatically due to how our immune system reacted to the virus. But we still don't have therapies to specifically deal with the infection-induced thrombosis, which is a big problem considering how prevalent it is in our society. Infections can increase the incidence of thrombosis by about 3 times its usual rate. While the pathogen might cause the blood to coagulate, it's usually the immune system's reaction that causes the blood to coagulate in the first place. These are some of the models used in a study to see exactly how an infection can cause a coagulation cascade. Well, there's a few common ways most infections cause thrombosis. Pro-inflammatory cytokines cause inflammation in response to the pathogen. This activates the endothelial cells that affect the coagulation of the blood. Tissue factor expression is another cause. The protein is vital to form coagulation cascades. Neutrophil extracellular traps, or nets, are produced to capture pathogens, but they tend to get in the way of the blood flow, causing clotting. Infections can leave you weak and laying still for long periods of time and can greatly increase your chance of thrombosis. Many viral infections, including Ebola, influenza, hepatitis, and HIV, can lead to hemorrhagic or thrombotic complications. Ebola can trigger fibrin deposits in the kidney, liver, and spleen through induced tissue factors. Influenza causes a whole host of things, including platelet aggregation, pulmonary microvascular thrombosis, and endothelial damage. Bacteria models often involve high doses of bacteria to rapidly induce coagulation and inflammation, so they don't always mimic long-term effects. But there's still valuable information we can take away from them. There are several ways bacteria can cause blood clots in your system. Bacteria, either alive or dead, can cause coagulation cascades by activating different receptors. Enhanced fibrin is also produced from some of the proteins released by the bacteria. Anticoagulants are already in use to prevent blood clots. Antithrombin is useful in combating blood clots like thrombin, but when it comes to infection-induced thrombosis, it makes more sense to target the immune system's side effects to the pathogen than just the coagulation caused by it. Therapies to regulate the platelets, nets, and cytokines would help deal with the problem at its core. Platelets are released due to receptors, so therapies that focus on things like glycoprotein 6, which mediates platelet activation, would work well. These are some of the references I used for my project. This study in particular on infection-induced thrombosis was really helpful. I would like to thank GTF for giving me so many opportunities to learn about thrombosis. I also want to thank GHLC for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for listening to my presentation.